Hey guys, just letting you know that I recorded this while I'm still sick. So, that is why my voice sounds silly here. Please forgive me, and I do pray that you enjoy the video regardless. So, in my last video, I mentioned that I did not like Chez, and that I felt like he was the reason why the Last Guest sequels sucked as a whole. I wasn't kidding or trying to create rage bait. I do absolutely dislike Chez, whose name almost sounds like he is this teenager that appeared in The Last Guest 2, and then his final appearance is The Last Guest 4. And his role in the series is basically him betraying his own species after learning that his mother was killed by one of them. And the guests were actually good, and not the monsters that his fucked up father and Colonel had portrayed them to be. And before I actually go into that rabbit hole, let me explain who Chez is. As mentioned, Chez is a teenager who is 15 years old, or 17 according to the wanted poster in The Last Guest 4, which the Bacon teacher had implied that the Bacon hairs were forced to isolate themselves in the Empire, which makes me think that they live in a huge community of Bacon hairs, which of course shelters Chez and the other Bacon hairs from the outside world, and makes it easier for them to believe in their anti-guest propaganda created by the Bacon Army and taught by the Bacon teacher and the Bacon General. Which, by the way, the Bacon General is Chez's father. And yeah, he did break Roblox rules about online dating, but that's beside the point. And let me just say, if you're expecting Chez to be the reason why the Bacon Army exists, you know, some corny story of the General lost his father to the guests, so when he had Chez, he did not want to lose him, so he founded the Bacon Army. You are wrong. You are not going to be getting an origin story here, or a story about a man who is doing this because he had, quote-unquote, good intentions. No, because the Bacon General...
What are you doing?
is a trashy father himself. He gave Chez a scar by punching his face, which in real life would not look like that, all because Chez was drawing himself training. Then he forced his son to train. He also murdered Chez's mother and then lied about it, pitting it all on the guests, using them as a scapegoat. And finally, he didn't even apologize for what he had done. Instead, he tried to justify why he killed Chez's mum.
I did it all for you, son. To make you into a strong and powerful leader. Your mother was too soft on you.
So Chez, he's cool and all, but my god, he is unlikable. There are some scenes that just make me want to yell at him, just as the part where he caught Sarah feeding a guest who was locked in a prison camp. Yes, I did say prison camp. So remember when I said that put a pin on it when the newsreader says that there is only one guest left? Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. It turned out that most of the guests were kidnapped and forced to work in the prison camp, where they are forced to cut trees down, throw rocks, and mining too.
Day is never finished. Master got me working. Someday Master set me free. Dude, shut up, Cartman!
And then they are forced to fight in the guest games to the death in front of a lot of Bacon hairs. And the winner gets to return to the prison camp. Yeah, this just retcons what the newsreader said about the guests, but anyhow. So Chez gets pissed off and ran off his dish on his best friend, but when he actually entered the Colonel's office, probably interrupting the makeout session, and he was just about to tell what he saw back at the prison, only to find a knife in the Colonel's drawers. Apparently the same knife that TBC had used to murder his mum, which, why didn't you just dispose it? This just feels like a plot convenience right in the open, and it does not make sense at all, and it also ends up being a terrible red herring. So Chez quickly changes what he was about to say and comes up with the worst excuse possible.
I just wanted to say I'm really looking forward to the guest games tomorrow.
I'm surprised that Chez's father or even the Colonel just yell at them for interrupting them like that, or just beating them up for wasting their time. Oh, and I want to mention that when he returns to the classroom the next day, he doesn't even bother to apologize to Sarah. I just want to include that here.
You didn't tell the General. How come?
I think you're right about my mother. I have no time to explain now, but I think the Colonel killed her.
Like, He doesn't say sorry for almost about to snitch on her and, possibly risking her and her father's life, because I'm pretty sure the Colonel has ways of dealing with traitors. Another thing where I want to shout out Chez is the fact he doesn't know how to save people's lives. By that I mean there's a scene where Sarah was shot and killed by the Colonel, and Chez is just doing this.
Let's go.
Dude, that isn't how you perform CPR, and even if you did know, you're supposed to stop the bleeding with a cloth or something, bro. But anyhow, then I want to explain a few positives I do have about Chez, before actually ranting about how he ruined the entire series for me. Firstly, I do think he looks cool, even though I don't really like his sharp-looking chin, or the fact that Matt tries to give him a savior complex. He's also really good at fighting, which makes him look badass, and I love how selfless Chez is as well. Like, here's some examples in The Last Guest too. Chez takes along with Sarah to try and free the guests from the prison camp, even though Chez knows full well that his father would be angry and disappointed with him if he found out. Then in the same movie, Chez went out of his way again to save Guest from a grenade that was about to explode, risking his own life in the process. And then in The Last Guest 4, where both him, Guest, and Rose were shackled in the waiting area of the Guest Gamers arena, because the Colonel planned to force Chez and Guest to fight to the death in the next Guest Games. So Chez, thinking that there is no hope for them to escape, he tells Guest this.
You have a family to go back to, Guest. You have to kill me in the Guest Games. There's no other way.
And if you think about what Chez says deeper, and look back on what happened in his life, you can kind of understand why Chez would say this. Not just because he wants Guest to reunite with his daughter and wife, that's if the Colonel actually keeps his promise. Chez had nothing left to lose. His father and mother are both dead, his best friend is gone, one of his friends turned out to be a traitor, and the one behind Sarah's death, even if it was unintentional. And finally, Chez is considered a traitor among the Baconheads to the point that they all want him dead. So Guest murdering him in Guest Games would be a kind of warm-off. Quitting Roblox. By the way, the Bacon's not the same step before that can even happen. And he was able to take out the Bacon Colonel, although in my opinion, how he was taken out just feels anticlimactic, and I wish we had an epic battle to the death between Chez and him, but well, beggars can't be choosers. Now, I got all that positivity about him out of the way. We can now get to me talking about why I think he ruined The Last Guest movie. It's because I feel that Chez was only added as an excuse to give us these sequels, and he basically ruined the premise of the original film by saving Guest 1337 from that explosion. Like, I do not have a problem with Matt making sequels about his movie, but if you're gonna make a sequel or sequels, then make them make sense rather than just retcon everything, including your own title. You may as well change your title from The Last Guest to The Heroic Guest or something, because The Last Guest doesn't make any sense. It did make a lot of sense in the first film, like yeah, I did say that some of the scenes are just bad and did not work well, but the movie at least made a little bit more sense. Just as Guest supposedly dying in that explosion in order to take out the Bacon General, and the newsreader saying that there is one Guest left. And yeah, I know the ending would be sad and bittersweet, but like I said, it would still make sense because I find it hard to believe that when Guest was taken by Chez to the Bacon Empire, that the Robloxian army assumed that he is dead instead of missing. Like, I'm surprised that when Guest got home to his wife finally, that he did not sue the fuck out of the Robloxian army for not just falsely saying to his wife that he was dead, but assuming that he is dead without actually checking for any clues that, hey, Guest may have been kidnapped by the Bacon army. But no, they just, again, assumed he's dead instead of opening a real investigation. But overall, I feel that if Chez didn't exist in The Last Guest, then we wouldn't have these sequels, which some may see it as a bad thing because it means that Guest and the other guests would remain extinct, and you might even call me evil for wanting that, but listen, it would actually make a ton of sense, and it would make the film a bit more great. Like, yeah, it's still pretty bad animation rise and plot rise, but the movie would still be watchable if Chez didn't just poof out of nowhere. However, I think Matt should have made the sequels into prequels instead, since it wouldn't affect the main timeline or ruin the main ending, but it depends how the prequel is made or what it's about. I would have loved a prequel that focused on the Bacon General and his point of view, a prequel that explains why he started the Bacon Empire in the first place. Yeah, we did get a small explanation from the Bacon teacher who claims that
Carrying on with history, Guests wanted Bacon people removed from Roblox. They thought we were thieves and murderers. Police arrested us for no reason. Shopkeepers refused to sell food to us, and we were forced to move away. Forced to live here in isolation.
But we have no idea if that's overly exaggerated. The lie created by the general and colonel themselves in a way to indoctrinate innocent children into their empire. We need an actual origin story rather than just the Bacon General and colonels are evil for the sake of being evil kind of bullshit. Which makes me worry for the upcoming The Bacon Hair 4 movie. I do not want the president to have no backstory and make the audience think that he's simply evil because he's just evil. Or if he does get a backstory, I do not want it to try and portray him as a victim and make us feel sorry for the man and believe that what he is doing to the Bacon Hairs is justified. Same with the Bacon General. In the comments section of my Last Guest review, Matt had mentioned that he'll one day remake The Last Guest, which, if that's the case, my recommendation is for him to try and give the Bacon General a backstory that explains why he hates guests to the point that he wants them all eradicated. But of course, do not try and justify his actions in the backstory or write it in a way where we meant to feel sorry for him and believe that he's justified in doing it when he is not. Like, yes, you're allowed to write some tragedy into his story, just as a backstory where his son was murdered by guests, or a backstory where his wife was murdered by guests, but it is later turned out to be his own colonel who did it. But again, do not write it in a way that makes the audience want to justify his actions in wanting to slaughter guests. You want to write it where the audience can sympathize him, but not support his actions and condemn the man. Because again, you can feel bad for whatever tragedy that happened to him, but we do not want people to support Bake Lost Sizzler's actions. Sorry for that. But yeah, in conclusion, I dislike Chez. I think he's an okay character, but him existing ruined the premise of The Last Guest, and basically retcons what happens in the first Last Guest movie, as well as create some confusing and unexplained plot holes, as well as added some plot conveniences too. Oh, and his voice?
You killed my mother, and you killed my best friend. Now you're going to die.
Doesn't suit him. I said this before in my other video, but no hate to the voice actor. I think that voice acting is fine, but it could have been used on a different character because Chez's current voice just sounds like he has smoked a lot of cigarettes at a young age. And it doesn't really strike me as a 15-year-old teen or 17-year-old. And once again, I do not hate the voice actor. I just think he should have been chosen to do a different part other than Chez. He should have maybe voiced one of the Bacon soldiers or something. Now, do I hate Chez? Yes, I do not like him for the reasons I had shared, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna scream at everyone for liking him or enjoying the sequels because you're entitled to your own opinion. And all I'm doing is just criticizing something that I also like, but feel like that should have gone a different direction. And yeah, I do know that Matt was a child and teenager when he made The Last Guest, but that does not mean I'm not allowed to criticize it or have an opinion. But anyways, I do hope you guys enjoy my videos, and please do show support for my channel. Goodbye.